Good afternoon, Tony Dottino, founder of the USA Memory Championship, and here with my Life with Tony. After a week of being off at St. Augustine's at the World Golf Resort, which was absolutely fantastic, and I'm back. Well, Wi-Fi setups were not the easiest there, but managed to figure out how to at least get Mondays done, and the rest of the week was tough. So back with you today, a week later. And as I was away and I had a chance to do some reading, obviously I do the magazines, I do crosswords, Sudoku, and I come up with a lot of reading, and I try to prioritize it for my Life with Tony's. And one that I found very, very interesting, I thought was really good, was a New Scientist magazine article in their January 2nd issue. And it was talking about a daily dose of creativity. Daily dose of creativity. Then I was also reading a magazine, the Science Focus. Science Focus comes from the BBC. They have some really good things in there as it relates to your brain and your creation of self. And so both magazines were really interesting, and I'll see if I can tie them in today, and if I can't, I'll pick up this Science Focus on Tuesday or Wednesday. But what is a daily dose of creativity? The point of the article was to say, we're cutting out sugar, we're getting some exercise, we're not smoking, we're eating vegetables, we're not stressing, we're sleeping well, but we're bombarded with information about how to live longer, healthier, and happier lives. But there's one place of advice I bet you have never been given. It's probably the most enjoyable health tip you could be told, but the data supporting it remained a secret, which is engage in the arts. You say, wait a minute, I want to create creativity. I want to engage in the arts. And when we talk about the arts, we're not talking about just going to a museum and staring at paintings and pictures and murals. We're talking about things that are right in front of you in everyday life. And one of them that I found surprising was they talk about the arts as being working in a garden and putting flowers together with different colors and creating your own masterpiece right in your own front yard, backyard, inside your house, and thinking of the creativity of the colors, the types of flowers, the greenery, the soil, and putting that whole landscaping piece together is a fabulous form of creativity. And who stops to think about the gardener, the person out doing their landscaping, generating different scapes with different pictures of flowers or different plants, as I may, considering the fact of which way is the sun coming, which way are these flowers going to face towards the sun? Is the sun going towards its back? How many hours of sun does this plant need? How much water does it need to have? Do we need to have a sprinkler system? So when you step back and reflect on all of the elements that people expend on putting gardens together, it's all about their own creativity. And getting to the point where when they're all done, they step back and look at it and say, I've created this beautiful floral piece of landscape. And so it takes a lot of different skill, a lot of different coordination. And then I think about going to, oh goodness, not Home Depot, BJ's, and see what people are doing in terms of putting stuff together. And all the different landscaping stores that we have here in South Florida, or Central Florida, where people are putting different pieces, and they see this in their eyes, and then they go back home and they start to lay it out, make adjustments to it, all in the form of their own creativity. Now, the second one that they talked about in this article, your daily dose, is what do we read? And they say, wait a minute, what do you mean, what do we read? Well, I've talked to I'm getting more and more interested in people who are reading fiction and asking them what they get out of fiction. And they invariably tell me new ideas on how to look at my life or how to look at something I'm doing, or maybe it's my work, or maybe it's my family. And they read these books in fiction and create behavioral changes in their own life. And I know I read, as you know from my Tony's, I'm constantly reading. And I'm not reading fiction, I'm reading science reports, and those give me different ideas of how to communicate better with people, how to build trust and confidence with them, how to help them resolve some of their life challenges and difficulties they may have. Almost like a semi-psychologist from the reading that I do, but how can I create better outcomes for people in their lives? So reading has an amazing amount of diversity in it based on what you're reading. And contrary to what we thought, is that books will go bye-bye as we get to the internet. What we're discovering is that some people want to have the hard copy. They want to have it in their hands, and they can adjust to it. The tactile touch of it, the actual reading of it is much easier when you see it this way, versus some people that want to go get it off the internet, and they don't want to get anything delivered. They'll get it delivered in their emails or in their web distributions. And so there's a diversity of people that go back and forth in how they do their reading. Another is their musical interest. And boy, if you stop to listen, I'm trying to get better at this because it's important to understand what words and songs are saying, and the beat and the rhythm, and the text of it. And you hear so many people about they heard a song and it changed their life. It made them think so differently. And so we go from working in the garden to reading a book to listening to different kinds of music in different tenses, tempos of music. And so music, by far, is another way of listening to lyrics of a singer and the rhythm and the beat that kind of fire up the brain and its thinking patterns, all while helping you with your own creativity. So who stops to think, oh, I'm listening to this song, and like, what I do, how does this make me feel? What thoughts do I get from this particular song? Or what lyrics this particular writer? And it's always fascinating to me when you get the history of a writer and a song that they wrote, when you find out what their purpose was in writing it, or what triggered their emotions to put the time into putting a beat and clefs and notes to words and what they were trying to convey in a very creative way, in their own way of doing it. What about the paragraph they have here, that doing these things from a creative point of view is on par with exercise? What we know is that physical exercise and activity and movement is a good source of generating the blood flow through the brain and igniting a sense of oxygen. But here it goes. Many of the studies compared arts with the better-known health behavior like physical activity and found that the effect sizes are similar. Huh? I'm physically running, I'm doing all this weightlifting, and you're telling me somebody who's reading, somebody who's working in a garden, somebody who's playing a musical instrument has got the same effect in terms of their mental capacity and their cognitive functions? Multiple studies have now found that people who spend time reading books, making music, dancing, we haven't talked about dancing, and attending artistic events actually live longer than people who do not engage with the arts. Now that's a bonus one there, wow. So if I'm going to do some of this reading, this dancing, the things I just finished talking, working in a garden, that's going to help me live longer? And what's important to me about people I've talked to that want to live longer is they want to have a purpose. They want to have some reason for continuing to go. So having a reason to continue to live and continue to grow and prosper in your own life, in your own mental state, is a critical variable that puts all of this together in a nice little package. How are all these effects happening? Social and behavioral mechanisms are at play. The mechanisms I find most exciting are the biological ones. Increasing studies show that people who engage in the arts have lower blood pressure, have a heart rate, lower cholesterol, reduced inflammation, and better regulation of immune functions and body mass index. So find something of your, just go out and explore, become a student. and become a student of maybe somebody's garden, take a walk in your neighborhood and see what their flowers are, and maybe if you get a chance to talk to a person that's in the garden, I always love to stop and say, why did you plant this flower? What does this mean? What does this landscape? I mean, I love talking to people. You learn so much by just asking a few questions. Maybe it's time to go out and get a book or a magazine of something you've never read and be interested in. Maybe how to fly a plane or how to play a musical instrument. And then maybe go listen to music. I'm not telling you to go out and play an instrument. That, even for me, that might not be something I want to do, but I certainly enjoy getting places where there's music playing and listening to it. And see what that does in terms of your cognitive fitness and your mental well-being, with the bonus of saying, and I can live longer by doing all that. We're off and going. We'll see you back here on Wednesday. Have a good Monday evening. Out of Monday Night Football, we don't have any more college football playoffs, so it's time to move